solid landing I hit is clay. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces actually. Drugstore bottle. Ooh, what do we got here? All right. This is the site of where the old train station once stood in Forestburg, North Dakota. It stood just beyond this big old tree, which is a really impressive tree. This cottonwood's got to be over 100 years old. And well, this was a significant depot because this is where a lot of the passengers would have got off the train to go to Ruskin Park, which was a famous park back in the day, famous park for South Dakota's history. And you can see the rubble here from the train station's foundation, I suppose. All the rocks and cement chunks. Over here in this depression, this was actually the ticket booth. There's still some of the foundation remaining. And well, we got permission to excavate this site. We're hoping to dig up the old outhouse pits and see what was thrown down them all those years ago. Well, back here was the back part of the depot. There was a loading ramp and a stock room of some sort. An early picture shows the outhouse back in this vicinity. I'm actually walking where the old wooden boardwalk would have stood next to the train tracks. Jake has a pit opened up over here. We figure it was the latest outhouse used by the depot. The depot was actually in use from about 1880 up to 1940 or 50. There was a later picture that showed an outhouse over here, and it's a big pit. It's roughly 8 by 4, we figure, and there's some stuff down there. We dug it down to about 4 feet on this one side here. There's the wood-lined side for the, I believe, east wall. And it's not looking too good. Got this Coke can, looks to be 1970s, and a Lord Calvert whiskey bottle. I believe the date code may be 1971. Doesn't seem to go much further. The writing's on the wall. We need to find the earlier pit. We just finished clearing most of the area behind the depot. There was that junk pile here, mostly from a house that was torn down. We stacked it all up by hand, and we'll try gridding this out next. Well, we dug a test hole in what we cleared. There was some softness to the ground, and it seemed kind of discouraging at first. All we hit was this gravel layer, and then we started getting into some coal. If you see down here, there's the top of an old bottle. It's an old cork top one. Let's see what we got. Jeweled top, whiskey. I'd say that's about 1900, 1910. Awesome. The second piece. Right next to the other one. Looks like another whiskey. Full of groundwater. Looks to be about 1910, 15.
Must have made the bottles good. So far 2 for 2 and none of them are broke.
Yeah, it's amazing how many of these survived. You know, they had a soft landing in the outhouse, so then they got covered over.
I suppose.
Yeah. We're back out at the Forestburg depot site. We stopped last night because it was getting dark. You can see the different layers we've been getting into. That top layer is gravel, which I think the railroad maybe used to build the grade up. Below that is some stove ash, and below that some dirt mixed with stove ash. I've probed it out, and I knew we would have to widen it soon. It goes a bit deeper, so we're going to be heading in this direction, and we'll get this widened out. We got it widened out. I think we found the walls of it. Everything is kind of tight packed after this, so everything else should be down further while widening it out. I came across a bottle, looks like a whiskey bottle. See the top of it there? It's like a shoe fly bottle. Tool top, circa 1905. These usually contain whiskey, although it sometimes contained extracts of some sort. Awesome. We're down about 6 feet, and it's got a shovel full of undigested seeds. That's a classic sign of an outhouse pit. I hear that these are usually either tomato or raspberry seeds. So I felt a few other things down here. Looks like the layer starts about 5 feet. I got something on the way out. Let me see that camera. Looks like another shoe fly bottle. Nice. Circa 1905. Tooled top. Still in the use layer. Got a couple pieces here. I'm guessing a couple more whiskey bottles. You can see the lime. Just thrown down to neutralize the smell way back when. What do we got here? Drugstore bottle. LED company. These are hardly ever embossed. It's a single lip, circa 1900. And a whiskey flask. This is a newer style, like 1905, 1910. Huh. Dual top. Cleared it down to about the 6 foot mark. Ways down. We're definitely fully in the use layer now. There's a couple pieces on the way out. Try to film these the best I can. Some tight space in here. Drugstore bottle. 3 ounce. Tooled top, single lip. "16-ounce drugstore bottle." That's a big one. Some groundwater in it. These are older. 1890s probably, turn of the century. This pit is loaded. Got 4 or 5 bottles on the way out. Let's see the camera. I'll climb down 6.5, maybe 7 feet. Get my gloves on. It's a solid landing I hit. It's clay. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces actually. Drugstore bottle. Ooh, what do we got here? H.S. Howell Pharmacist, Artesian, South Dakota. DF Company, that's Dean Foster and Company. All right, so there's the first one. Here we got, looks like this one's broken. Another drugstore bottle, still full of water. Some kind of generic bottle. Not entirely sure about that one. Circa 1900 though. Ooh, what do we got here? Moore's Pharmacy, Sioux City, Iowa. So these folks are doing some traveling to the depot. Kind of a picture. Glass pitcher. Oh, this thing just keeps going. Broken pharmacy bottle. Broken whiskey, tooled top. Set these off to the side and see if I can get this. Looks like a broken ketchup bottle. See if I can get this out. Yeah, broken ketchup bottle. Tooled top. Tooled threaded top. It's been broken a while. It's all finished up. Bottomed out at about 7 feet. I'll show some layers that we dug through. So between about 5 and 7 feet was the use layer. There was some coal and dirt kind of thrown over it. It started at about the 4 foot level, and there was just gravel. And I'm guessing was, like I mentioned earlier, just build up from the railroad. Here's a little show and tell of the finds. I believe the privy dated from 1895 to 1915. Some whiskey bottles, some drugstore bottles, food bottle, broken pitcher, broken ketchup bottle, extract bottle. Not entirely sure what this was. And the 2 pharmacy bottles. Artesian, South Dakota. And Sioux City, Iowa. There's got to be a couple others out here. Day 4 at the depot site. Here's the aftermath of the skid steer from last night. You can see we uncovered the old depot platform. Folks would have got off the train and walked across this. It was a gravel base with some cement curbing. It's kind of cool. And way at the end over here we probed out another pit. The one we dug yesterday was right about here, and I noticed they are in line with the edge of the platform. I'll open it up and see what we got. Down about 1.5 feet to the gravel backfill. So far we pulled up a couple old railroad spikes. Kind of cool. This was no doubt the outhouse for the depot. We found some remnants of the wood lining. You can see down there. And there's coal ash Must have been left over from the train they threw in to fill the void when they abandoned the outhouse site. We got a square nail. What looks to be a square nail. I guess these are technically called cut nails, but they were generally out of production by about 1900. We dug it down to about 5 feet, probed it out, and hit nothing but ash. I think this pit was dipped based on the square nails. It was the earliest one, so I think that's all there is. I'm on Main Street in Forestburg, South Dakota. We got permission to dig on this side. There were 4 buildings that stood here according to the 1884 tax records. We probed out some kind of pit, fairly shallow, but sometimes the really early ones don't have much depth to them. Jake's over here opening it up. Shouldn't take long until we're through the cap layer. I've probed out some glass and ash. We'll see how it goes. Whoa. Look at that marble. That's really cool. It's chipped. Is it some kind of a knob or something? Maybe. That's unusual. It's cool though. We're not in very good age. This is probably circa 1940, but it drops another foot or so. Got a bottle on the way out. There's a lot of broken stuff in here. That's unusual. 1930. Huh. Extract bottle. Some kind of cork top bottle on the way out. This is a strange pit. It must have been in use for a while.
There's one right there, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Clear in the way. Another extract bottle. Circa 1925. Looks like another extract bottle. These extract bottles are often found in Prohibition era pits. Folks would be able to legally buy extract which had a good amount of alcohol in it, so they could just drink that for a quick buzz. Whether that was the case here or not, I have no idea, but I see a lot in those pits from that era. Or extract. Prohibition era. Down a couple feet. We're definitely in an outhouse. There's some undigested seeds. You can see the kind of brown manure color. Everything seems to be Prohibition era. Pulled up a couple extract bottles and I think drugstore bottles since we last filmed. May widen it out a bit, but it doesn't drop much further, and might try to find another spot to dig around here. These markers there, and there mark where the front of the hotel was. This house was built after the fact, circa 1915. We spent an afternoon gritting and probing the lot and found a couple suspect areas where there could be some trash deposits. This one here, I'm not sure if it was an outhouse pit or an ash dump, but there's definitely some ashes and junk down there. We're down a couple feet, mainly just through the backfill layer. So far we've got a few pieces. This is some kind of bean pot, just fragments and rusty metal, possibly to some cans. Ironstone plate. Part of a beer bottle. This has some good age. I'm guessing this is a pit from the James Valley Hotel. Got a piece on the way out. I think it's another part to that bean pot. Oh yeah, look at that big chunk of it. That's been broken a long time. See the dirt in the cracks. Huh, someone at the hotel must have been cooking something and dropped it and broke it and threw it down this pit 150 years ago. I've got a few pieces on the way out. Looks like there's a bottle right here. Part of that bean pot here. And maybe more of that beer bottle. Looks like a mason jar, possibly a mason's patent jar. Good iridescence on it. It's got really good age. Another part of the bean pot. And possibly our first whole piece here. Oh yeah, side's blown out. That's an early one though. For around here anyway. Could have been a shoe polish bottle. 1880s, 90s. This was definitely the kitchen's dump. Ironstone handle of some sort, likely to a tea kettle, maybe a chamber pot. I've got a couple bottles on the way out. Looks like an extract bottle. Oh yeah, you can see the label still says extract on it. That is cool. What kind of extract? Oh, not enough of the label to say for sure. A pickle bottle of some sort. Oh yeah. Oh wow, that's an early one. Look at that. That's from the hotel. Full strength, warranted pure. Chicago Preserving Works. Wow. That's got some great age. The part that beer. I hope we can find the top of it to kind of ID the age a bit better. Here's another bottle. Look at that. A chunk of leather, probably. Looks like from a woman's shoe, possibly. This one's broken tooth. Same style of that first one I pulled up. It's been on the ground a long time. Look at that iridescence. I think this one's about finished up. It was about 4 feet deep, 5 feet around. This was primarily used as an ash garbage dump for the kitchen, the hotel's kitchen. Little rundown of the finds. There were plenty of rusted cans, part of a shoe, part of a ground lip mason jar, likely a mason's patent. Little glass. These little bottles, possibly shoe polish or some kind of generic bottle. The bean pot, some ironstone china. It's a chamber pot piece. I think this is a pitcher. Part of an ironstone china plate. Royal ironstone, something in Goddard. The extract bottle. We found out this was a horseradish bottle. Those had been made for serving meals in the kitchen. Some more ironstone china fragments. This looks like an earlier one. Tea pottery. Have to do a little research on that. Salt glazed stoneware fragment. I think everything here dated back to about 1885. We'll fill it in.